Howdy folks, hope you're all enjoying your weekend, and welcome to the game that's been sucking my life away for the last week. I have spent, well actually I was going to say countless, but I can tell you exactly how many hours I've spent playing this game in the last week. 45 of them. Most days this week I've been up until the early hours of the morning playing Battletech, when I really should have been doing videos. I've still done the videos, but it meant I had to stay up until the even earlier hours of the morning to get the videos done. So it's fair to say that Battletech has been an extremely bad influence on me this week, but I have not regretted a moment of it. I've had a fantastic time, and continue to have a fantastic time playing this game. But what is it, Jingles? Oh, yeah. Way back in the early mists of recorded history, 1984 to all you young kids, a company by the name of the FASA Corporation unleashed Battletech upon an unsuspecting public. Now, while the FASA Corporation certainly weren't the first company to develop a tabletop wargaming board game, they were one of, if not the first companies to develop a tabletop wargaming board game that didn't have anything to do with the Napoleonic or American Civil Wars. What made Battletech impressive were the giant stompy robots. Jingles, they're not actually robots. I know, they're not robots, they're piloted, they're battle mechs, but giant stompy robots. What's not to love about that? And of course Battletech was doing it long before Pacific Rim was even a twinkle in Guillermo del Toro's eye. Speaking of which, I haven't even seen the second Pacific Rim movie yet. Anyway, getting sidetracked. Battletech, the PC game, rather than Battletech, the board game. What's it all about? Well, I have to warn you, if you're expecting a 21st century version of the old 1990s MechWarrior games, you're going to be disappointed. This isn't that kind of Battletech. This is more like XCOM 2 or Laser Squad. It's turn-based tactical battle, rather than first-person sitting inside the cockpit of a mech battle. If that's the sort of thing that floats your boat, well, that's what MechWarrior Online is for. This is not MechWarrior, this is Battletech. Same franchise, completely different style of game. So, welcome to my ship, the Argo. Now, I don't want to give away any spoilers regarding the storyline, but suffice to say that relatively early on, throughout your Battletech career, you will find yourself in command of this ship and its contingent of mercenary mech warriors. Now, that mercenary part is very, very important, okay? You're fighting for money. You're not fighting for praise, you're not fighting for applause, you're fighting for the big fat dollar. So you have to make sure that your mercenary company doesn't go bankrupt. Speaking of the mech warriors, here they are. This is the mech warrior Barracks, and this is where you will be spending your experience points after taking on mercenary contracts, hopefully successfully completing them, and earning experience for your mech warriors. We're not going to get too bogged down in the details here. You can see that you've got 4 main mech warrior skills: gunnery, piloting, guts, and tactics. And the combination of skills that you choose will determine exactly how good your pilot is going to be at piloting any particular given type of mech. Oh yes, the battle mechs. That's what we're here for after all. There are dozens of different types of battle mechs, split into 4 broad categories: light, medium, heavy, and assault. You're going to be spending a fair amount of time between mercenary contracts sitting here in your mech bay, upgrading and refitting mechs, and repairing and sometimes even scrapping mechs that have limped back in from battle with arms and legs blown off. And unlike in certain other Battletech type games, MechWarrior Online, I'm looking at you, this is actually very simple and straightforward. This is one of my Orions. This is a heavy mech. It has a 75-ton weight limit. Everything that I want to put on this mech weighs a certain amount of tons, and you can't exceed the weight that the chassis will bear. Also, different parts of the chassis, the right torso, the left torso, the right arm, left arm, centre torso, head and legs, have a limited number of weapon hardpoints, so you can't just go ahead and strap every weapon available to your mech. For one, you're going to run out of weapon hardpoints, and 2, the mech won't be able to move, it will be overloaded. That's not all, of course, because different weapons generate different amounts of heat. Heat is the resource that you have to manage during battle. Energy weapons, small lasers, medium lasers, large lasers, extended range, small, medium and large lasers, pulse, small, medium and large lasers, particle projection cannons, tend to generate an awful lot of heat, but they don't have any ammunition associated with them. Other weapons like long-range missiles, short-range missiles, autocannons, don't generate a huge amount of heat, but they can run out of ammunition. Not only that, if an ammunition compartment gets breached by a weapon shot, it can catastrophically explode, and that's really bad. So there's a trade-off involved between the weight of the mech, the amount of armour that you have on it, how much heat you're going to generate, how easily the mech is going to be able to dissipate that heat in combat, and whether or not it's likely to run out of ammunition. Have you got all that? You still with me? Yeah? Good. It's not actually as complicated as it sounds. It all makes sense once you actually take these things out into battle. In fact, why don't we do just that? Let's have a look at the mercenary contracts that are available to us at the moment. There are 4 available in this system, although only one of them actually takes place in this system. The other 3 involve travelling to other star systems. If you take on a contract that involves travelling to another star system, your travel costs will be covered by your employer. Our first mission, Extraction, is a storyline mission. We're not going to be doing that one just yet. The next available contract, Corporate Secrets. This will involve travel to a different system, and it's rated at 4 skulls for difficulty, but pays out less than 500,000 credits, although there is a fair amount of salvage available on this mission. Nah, that one sucks. The next one, A Favour to Regret. The payout on this mission is actually pretty good. It's nearly 1,000,000 credits, and it's got the same amount of salvage available as the previous mission. It is slightly less difficult, but it does also involve travelling to a different system. We're going to stay in the current system at the moment, and we're going to take on this hard contact mission, which pays extremely well, isn't as difficult as any of the other contracts, and has the same amount of salvage available. What's this salvage you're talking about, Jingles? Well, here we go. This is where you negotiate the contract. You can get paid for completing a contract in one of 2 ways, or a combination of both, cold hard cash or salvage rights. If you've completed the mission successfully, there are probably going to be a few enemy battle mechs lying scattered around the battlefield in various states of disrepair. As long as you're happy to accept a reduced cash payout for successful completion of the contract, you can get an increased number of chances to call first dibs on all the juicy pieces of salvage lying scattered on the battlefield at the end of the mission, or alternatively you can go the other way around and just go for the maximum cash payout if you're not particularly interested or you don't need any of the salvage. So I've accepted the terms of the contract, my mech warriors and battle mechs are prepped and ready. Now all I have to do is actually complete the contract, or die trying. Let's try to avoid the dying part.
Command interface initiated.
What's the op, Top? Good question, glad you asked. I have to neutralise 2 lancers of pirate battle mechs. What the hell's a lance when it's at home? A lance is your standard tactical battle mech unit. It consists of anything up to 4 battle mechs. I'm currently controlling a lance of battle mechs, with exactly 4 battle mechs and pilots in it. And I'm facing 2 lancers, so I'm probably outnumbered 2 to 1. Can't you just bring more battle mechs? I wish. I've got the pilots and I have the spare mechs, but I only have 1 dropship. Those things are really expensive. And that means I can only ever drop a maximum of 4 mechs into battle at once. And the dropship also has a maximum tonnage that it can transport, so I can't just stuff my lance full of 4 assault mechs. The dropship won't be able to carry them all. Such is life. Right now I'm evaluating the terrain that I'm about to fight over. Now you don't have to know all of this, you just mouse over the terrain where you want to move your mech and it actually tells you. There's a tooltip pops up. There's some marshy ground on the other side of this lake, and I love marshy ground because standing your mech in marshy ground gains you a reduction against stability damage. What the hell's stability damage? Oh, don't worry. You'll see. I love stability damage. Okay, we're going to move our first pilot, Medusa, in his Orion, over to this patch of marshy ground over here. Who's next? Glitch, also in an Orion. Her Orion's armed with an AC-20 autocannon. That's a seriously big gun, bunch of medium lasers, and a rack of short-range missiles. We're going to move her up next to Medusa, also in the marshy ground. Next up, myself and Cyber in our 2 assault mechs, a Battlemaster and a Highlander. Both of these mechs are running a lot of energy weapons, and the Battlemaster in particular does tend to run quite hot, which is why I'm standing Jingles in his Battlemaster in the middle of the lake. He's got heat sinks in his mech, and they're in his legs, and if I can keep them underwater, I'll be able to deal with a lot of excess heat, and hopefully keep those energy weapons firing without crippling the mech. Okay, round 2, no contact as yet. I'm going to move Medusa up and try to establish contact with the enemy with him. Where to? Move him into the trees. He'll gain cover from being in the trees, but he'll have reduced spotting range. So instead we're moving him into the open, which is not quite as dangerous as it sounds because he's sprinted there. He's gained a full stack of evasion. The further you travel in a turn, the more evasion stacks you gain, which makes you very, very difficult to hit. And that is a big-assed enemy contact, although I'm only actually seeing one battle mech that we know of that's within sensor range inside that blob of enemies. There are also a whole bunch of vehicles. Now the vehicles tend to be easier to kill than the battle mechs, particularly if you can get close enough to get them into melee combat. But they can be a real pain in the arse, particularly if they're armed with autocannons and short and long range missiles, and it's all because of that stability damage that I mentioned earlier. What's this stability damage thing, Jingles? Don't worry, don't worry, you'll see. Did I mention that I love stability damage? I did, okay, never mind. Right, it's on.
I'm picking up a new sensor trace.
And we're being flanked. Awesome. Right.
Receiving you.
Medusa. What am I going to do with him? I can actually fire my long-range missiles, but I'm going to pull him back. The flanking force is actually more dangerous at the moment. Like a tank, a battle mech's armour is mostly located in the front, and if that flanking force gets around the side and rear, I could be in serious trouble. So, we're going to fall back enough, but not so far that I can't keep the front of the battle mech pointed towards the threat. Now, we can't actually shoot at anything here, so instead we're just going to brace him up. Enemy turn. Yep, more than one mech coming in from the right flank. Next, it's Glitch's turn. We're pretty much going to do the same thing here. The worst possible thing you can do is get involved in a fight where you're in a crossfire, because most of the armour on your mech is situated at the front. Where am I going to move Glitch to? Those guys at the front are a fair old distance away. The guys coming in from the flank are much, much closer. So if I keep falling back, I'm delaying the length of time it's going to take for the initial contacts to make it to within shooting range, and I'm also shortening the angles to reduce the angle of crossfire that I'm going to be taking. So that should do. In fact, that's even better.
I read you, Commander.
She's not falling back very far, but she's keeping her front towards all of the enemies. And the last thing I'm going to do with her is hit that incoming mech with a sensor lock. What this is going to do, first and foremost, it's going to reduce the number of evasion stacks that he's got to make him easier to hit. And secondly, with sensors locked on, it means I don't even have to have direct line of sight for the rest of this turn to hit him, providing I'm doing it with indirect fire weapons like my missile launchers. And here they come. Okay. Striker weapons carrier. My turn.
Commander?
Cyber. Cyber's actually in a pretty good position to deal with this flanking force first. And she's in a very, very big mech. This is my Highlander. It's a 90-tonner. I'm going to move her into the marshy ground. And from here, I'm able to hit that striker with indirect fire. And I can get direct fire from the Gorse rifle onto that battle mech. So I'm going for a multi-target attack. Do I really want to do that? Nothing else is in range. Can't hit it with the medium lasers or the short-range missiles. In retrospect, I would have probably been better off here not doing a multi-target attack, leaving the striker alone and hitting this battle mech with both the Gorse rifle and the long-range missiles. Because of stability damage. See, you can't knock a vehicle over like the striker. It's already flat on the ground. All you can really do with a long-range missile is damage to it and reduce its evasion. The Gorse rifle and the long-range missiles are both ballistic impact weapons, and when you take a hit from a ballistic impact weapon, you gain stability damage. You saw that when the Cicada medium mech over there took a hit from the Gauss rifle, there was a beige coloured bar underneath it that started to fill up. That's stability damage. Once that fills up, the mech gets knocked over and the pilot suffers an injury. And when it's lying flat on the ground, it's in serious trouble. Jingles' turn. All he has that has range is his particle projection cannon. And he's blown the Cicada's left arm off. And it's gained a second bar of stability damage. It's an impact weapon. Here it comes. Okay, he gained some evasion because he moved during his turn, and he's fired his own particle projection cannon at one of my mechs. But the armour took it. Here comes a Wolverine. This is a medium. He's firing an autocannon. And he's going for me. And because I've just been hit by two ballistic weapons, a PPC and an autocannon, I'm also having the stability damage stack up.
Waiting for orders.
Next, glitch in one of the Orions. I want to keep falling back, but I also want to be able to bring my weapons to bear on this flanking force and neutralise it as quickly as possible. If we move glitch to here, she's in the trees, so she's going to gain some cover. She's still moving, so she's going to retain her evasion. She's still able to keep her armour facing towards all of the enemies, and more importantly, she's got both the range and the line of sight to bring every one of her weapons to bear on that Cicada. This is what we call an alpha strike, where you fire everything you've got. We've completely blown his left torso away. That's injured the pilot, and he's gained a huge stack of stability damage. He's lost all of his evasion, and he's now unsteady, which means the very next impact that he takes is probably going to knock him flat on his back. Unfortunately, that kind of works both ways. I just took a massive impact from a whole bunch of missiles. It's not only stripped off a lot of my frontal armour, although it's still holding, but I've also taken a big stack of stability damage, and the next ballistic impact that I take, unless I get the chance to do something about it, is probably also going to knock me flat on my back. And when a mech is flat on its back, it's extremely vulnerable. Next up, it's Medusa in the other Orion. Now I've got 3 potential targets that I can actually hit here. Ideally, I definitely want to hit that Cicada with another impact weapon, whether that's the autocannon or the long-range missiles, because another ballistic impact is probably going to knock it over. I could hedge my bets and hit 2 targets, but I think instead of going for a multi-target attack, I'm just going to hit this Cicada with everything, because knocking it over is good, but destroying it is better. And that's a center torso hit. Center torso destroyed. The mech is out of here. Blowing off arms and legs is good, because a lot of weapons and equipment tends to be mounted in the arms and legs. Heat sinks, things like that. But if you destroy the center torso of a mech, you've destroyed the mech. Oh, this isn't good. This is probably going to knock Jingles over.
Damage minimal.
Minimal damage, but, yep, stability bar filled up. Jingles is flat on his back,
Warning. Detecting mech warrior injury.
and I've been injured. Bollocks. This is why it's extremely dangerous when a mech has been knocked on its back. Enemies get to make cold shots against it. They can actually target specific parts of the mech. And you've got no evasion, you've got no cover. Well, they're going for the centre torso. The armour is holding, however. The Battlemaster is a very heavily armoured assault mech, and at least I'm not taking further stability damage while I'm flat on my back, but now I really need to get to my feet. Okay, the good news is, now that I'm back on my feet, the stability damage is gone.
Battle mech operational.
So, I want to move back far enough that I'm not showing side armour to those guys coming in from the north. And I want to get a shot on that Wolverine up there. Unfortunately, I kind of screwed this up a little bit. I want to move back into the water to keep my heat sinks cool, because I have a lot of energy weapons on the Battlemaster, but I've moved so far back that the only thing that has the range is the particle projection cannon. Oh well, I'll take the shot. Unfortunately, I've just gotten back to my feet, so the pilot's a bit shook up, and I only had a 45% chance of hitting, and it missed.
Damage detected.
It has at least caused him to lose a stack of evasion, but, well, missed. So, yeah, Jingles. Shit in real life, shit in game 2. Okay.
I'm receiving you.
My turn again. Cyber is up in my Highlander. Right. Most of these enemy targets are outside the range of my medium lasers and short-range missiles. I mean, I could get them within range of my medium lasers and short-range missiles, but I'd have to run Cyber here so far to the right that she'd be showing her rear armour to the guys coming from the north. And the AI jumps all over opportunities to shoot you in the back if you give it the chance. So instead, we can only bring our Gauss rifle and long-range missiles to bear, and we have 2 targets available, that Striker and the Wolverine battle mech. I'm going to hit the Striker there with the Gauss rifle and focus the long-range missiles, even though they're not going to do a huge amount of physical damage, although they will strip off some of his armour, on the Wolverine. The reason I'm doing that is because long-range missiles do a shit ton of stability damage. The Wolverine had no stability damage, and now he's practically got a full bar. And we also got a lucky head hit, which is an instant pilot injury. It doesn't take the pilot out. Pilots can take a number of injuries, but it's one more than he had before we shot at him. And if we get another ballistic weapon impact on that Wolverine, which is probably why he's bugging out, because he knows it as well as I do, he's also going to be flat on his back. Right, Glitch's turn in one of the Orions. What are we going to do with her? Am I going to chase that? Ooh, actually, she can hit that Striker with every single one of her weapons and almost certainly take it out. Although, I kind of want to chase the Wolverine down and get him knocked over before he can stabilise. But that Striker is going to start firing its own missiles, and, well, I don't want to get my own mechs knocked over. Choices, choices, choices. What to do, what to do. Move to here, she's in marshy ground. She might have the sensor range to light up that Wolverine. Let's see. Yep. Excellent. Ah, crap. I don't have any weapons that can be brought to bear on him. That's my own fault, of course. When you highlight the area that you want to move to, if you see any red lines, that means you can shoot at something. White lines mean you've got line of sight, but you don't have anything with the range. So instead, I'm just going to sensor lock him. And that's removed his evasion stack. And it'll make him easier to hit for the remainder of this turn. Another mech move. Oh shit, that's not good. That's, in fact, the very opposite of good. That's a catapult. That thing is armed with lots and lots and lots of missiles. That thing is very bad.
Heading out.
Okay, Medusa in the other Orion. From here I can multi-target, but it looks like the Wolverine is stabilised and removed his stability stack. Okay, we're going to hit that catapult with everything that has the range, the long-range missiles and the autocannon.
I copy.
Okay, the autocannon missed, but the long-range missiles didn't penetrate the armour, costed an evasion stack and did some stability damage. They're all moving in, and the vehicles are now in missile range. Yep. This is what I wanted to avoid.
Is that it? I'm barely scratched.
This kind of harassing fire from these vehicles really starts to add up over time. There's another bar of stability damage.
You got nothing.
And I'm going to have to fall glitch back because they're working their way into the rear arc. At the moment they're still hitting frontal armour, and that's fine for the moment. But they start working their way into that rear firing arc, and the rear armour isn't even half as good as the frontal armour. They'll start doing internal damage. So, Cyber in the Highlander. I need to keep as much frontal armour facing as possible. But at the same time, I really have to take that catapult out quickly. So I'm going to take a bit of a chance here, because the Highlander has my heaviest weapons, and I'm going to risk getting hit in the back by some of those missiles from the vehicles to get a Gauss rifle and long-range missile hit on this catapult. Oh yeah. Structure exposed. It's unsteady. It's lost all of its evasion. And all of the armour on that side of the torso has been stripped off. Okay. Jingles. Let's not screw this up. I want to get as close as possible, even if it does mean exposing his rear arc to some of those vehicles, but I want to get all of his weapons brought to bear on that catapult. Okay, I'm close enough to hit that thing with everything other than the machine guns, but the machine guns are close quarters combat, short range weapons only. I'm going to go for a precision strike, which uses some of my unit's morale but allows me to target specific parts of the enemy mech. And I'm calling everything on the right leg in an attempt to blow the leg away and cause it to fall over. Okay, the leg's still attached, but the weapons did enough stability damage that it fell down anyway, and that's an automatic pilot injury. Now that it's flat on its back, every other mech that targets that thing can make called shots without having to spend morale. The Wolverine's coming in, using the jump jets. He got a lucky head hit. The armour held, but any shot that hits the head of a battle mech causes a pilot injury even if it doesn't breach the armour. If it breaches the armour, the pilot's dead. Right?
Got it.
Okay. That catapult, it's down but it's not out. Moving glitch up in one of the Orions. And every weapon is in range. What do I want to hit? I'm going to go for the right torso. The right arm and the right leg are damaged. The right torso is undamaged, but if you destroy the torso, the arm attached to it and all the weapons also get blown off. And that's exactly what's happened. And because the torso has exploded, it's right next to the cockpit, that's another pilot injury. Enemy turn. Here comes the quick draw. That's bad news. This is another very heavily armed and armoured enemy mech. But the Highlander's armour is holding.
I'm taking some serious hits.
Lost a lot of armour, but no internal structural damage.
What do you need?
Right, Medusa.
Position confirmed.
That catapult has not yet managed to fire any of its weapons. It's down, it's crippled, but it ain't out yet. Since it's still on its back, I can make a called shot. Since the right arm and the right torso are now gone, I'm calling my shots right on the centre torso in an effort to permanently take it out of action. Destroy the centre torso? No. Didn't destroy the centre torso. Shit. Okay. This is kind of what I was worried about. Those enemies moving in from the north,
Damage minimal.
they're now in the rear arc. So I'm going to have to start pulling people back. Yeah, here it comes again. Armour held, but there will not be a lot of rear armour left on that Highlander. They're going to do it again. And it's the stacking stability damage from these missile launchers that's going to be the problem. Yeah, it's getting dangerous. She's now unsteady, so she's lost all of her evasion. She's now much easier to hit.
Right.
So, I'm going to pull her back to there.
Affirmative.
Turn her facing, so she's no longer showing her back to these guys. I am going to spend some morale to completely remove all stability damage. And we are going to finish this catapult off. Now, she's only got 2 weapons that actually have the range to hit it from here, but the Gauss rifle does a serious amount of damage. And well, you've already seen what the long-range missiles can do. Do I want to hedge my bets, however, and go for a multi-target? Or do I just want to call the shots? You know what? We're going to go multi-target. Going to get some weapons to bear on that Wolverine. Since it's in range of her medium lasers.
Copy
And the
that.
catapult does not have a huge amount of armour left. So here's hoping for a centre torso here. Yeah, we got it. Catapult down, pilot incapacitated, and it never got to fire its weapons. Now, Wolverine. Some damage. Gave him some stability damage, and he lost some of his evasion. My turn again. Still falling back slowly and staying out of range of the majority of the missiles launched from those vehicles up to the north, while at the same time trying to cover my firing arcs and make sure that none of them are able to get shots into my rear armour. Okay, the Wolverine, he's my next knockdown target.
Engaging.
This is going to generate a lot of heat. Particle projection cannons, medium lasers. Head hit, pilot injury. He's unsteady, he's lost all of his evasion. We can get another ballistic hit on him, he's going to fall right over. He's falling back, he's using his jump jets, opening up with his autocannons, missiles and medium lasers. But, well, we were able to get turned around in time.
Armor low.
While the armour has taken some damage, it's still holding.
Aye, aye.
My turn again. We're going to continue to keep falling back, narrowing the angles, making sure that none of those guys coming in from the north can get shots into our rear armour facing. Moving Medusa up to here. Now, that Wolverine has taken so many hits recently that just one more ballistic impact is going to be enough to knock him on his back. So I'm going to set up a multi-target shot here, and I'm going to hit the Wolverine just with the long-range missiles. They're probably not going to do a huge amount of damage, but they will knock him over. And I'm going to hit the quick draw with everything else. There we go, structure exposed. Done some internal damage, reduced his evasion stack, and now the long-range missiles. And the Wolverine has been knocked over. He's now lost all of his evasion stacks, and I can hit him with called shots to directly target specific parts of the mech. Now it's the enemy's turn. Quick Draw's moving using his jump jets. That's going to generate some heat. He's targeting me using a lot of medium lasers and a few short-range missiles. And he's gotten through my frontal armour, done some internal damage, and it doesn't look like he's actually generated that much heat from firing all those medium lasers.
I'm receiving
Then
you.
again, he is standing in the water, but he must have some pretty good heat management. Right, got a choice to make here.
Copy that.
The Quick Draw's just had his turn, so I've lost the opportunity to knock him over before he gets his weapons away. At the same time, I've got a prone target over there on the Wolverine. I'm going to actually split my fire here. I'm going to hit the prone Wolverine with the Gauss rifle and the medium lasers, and use the missiles for the Quick Draw right in front of me. Again, it's all about trying to get the maximum amount of stability damage on the targets that are standing. So target A is the Quick Draw, and he's taken the missile weapons, and this should be enough to make him unsteady, and it has, and he's lost his evasion. He's also lost one of his medium lasers. Now the energy weapons and Gauss rifle on the Wolverine, and that's another pilot injury which has stacked up enough to completely incapacitate the pilot, so the Wolverine is out for the count as well. And not before time, because here comes the flanking force, which was originally the force right in front of me. But because I've worked my way around, they're now on the flank, and that's actually quite good. I'm still going to concentrate my fire against this Quick Draw, but I'm going to start moving everybody around to the right. Oh, actually, I could melee this guy now. That would be a guaranteed knockover, although I haven't built up any heat on Glitch's Orion. I could just shoot him. But we're going to move everybody around to the right to keep everybody in front of us. And I do need to finish this Quick Draw off as quickly as possible, so we're going to Alpha Strike him with everything we've got. Going to go for a precision shot, spend some more morale, and we are going to target his left torso, which is already damaged. Now if I can destroy that, it's also going to blow off the left arm, and a side torso explosion injures the pilot. And we've knocked him over, which is a further pilot injury. Also had the side effect of knocking out his short-range missiles and another one of his medium lasers. Enemy turn. They're only just coming into range now, so the timing here was pretty good. And that, of course, was all because I just kept falling back from these guys. Never allowed myself to get caught in a crossfire between the two forces. Okay, my turn. Jingles. Keep moving to the right. Need to be able to keep my front facing, although Jingles' front armour has been breached in a couple of locations. And who to go for?
Engaging
I'm going to take out one of these. Ah, crap, he missed again. I was trying to get the striker before it fired its missiles, but Jingles, shit as ever. Okay, the rest of them didn't get the opportunity to fire. They're still moving up. I could, you know what, I'm going to close in and just stomp on this guy. It's going to have the side effect of also putting me in the right position that I need to deal with the northern force. Not enough to take him out. Enemy turn. Is the Quick Draw going to get the stand up? Not yet. Ah, enemy Thunderbolt. Large lasers, medium lasers, short range missiles. I think the armour held.
I'm under heavy fire.
Yeah, the armour held. She's not going to have an awful lot of armour left on that side though.
Commander.
Medusa and the Orion, he's got a little bit of heat built up, but not a huge amount.
Location confirmed.
Again, keep swinging people around to the right, get them turned around. Let's not let this Quick Draw stand up. We're just going to cold shot the centre torso. Hit him with everything that we have. Yep, centre torso destroyed. the mech is out of here. Probably a little bit of overkill. More weapons than I needed, but the quick draw is down. Now I can focus everybody on these guys. Comes another striker, it's going to get its missiles away. Some stability damage, but the armour held. Another striker. Going for the same target. They do actually react quite intelligently. If they spot a weak link, they will go for it relentlessly. Right, Jingles.
Yes, Commander.
Actually, no. Jingles, you shit. Cyber. In the Highlander. My heaviest mech. I'm moving up because I want to try to get these strikers, the vehicles, into melee range. Because you can take one of them out in one hit by stamping on it. Not close enough for melee combat yet, of course. But close enough to hit multiple targets. So, it's the same deal as before. I'm going to focus the missile weapons on the Thunderbolt. Try to stack the stability damage on him so that I can get him knocked over so he can't fire his weapons again. And Gauss Rifle and medium lasers on one of the ground vehicles. That should do the trick. Might be enough to knock one of them out.
Confirmed.
And kind of disappointing actually. I was expecting to do more damage than that. But here come the missile weapons. And he's unsteady, he's lost his evasion, he's also lost a lot of armour. And of course, once again, the next ballistic weapon that hits that Thunderbolt is going to knock it over. Ow! That was nasty.
Internal structure
Heavy
damage.
autocannons, internal damage, and a very high level of stability damage. Right then, Jingles. Jingles, try not to screw this up. So what are we going to do here? Do I need to move him? Actually, I am going to move him. A lot of his weapons are medium lasers. He's going to need to be closer to hit anything with them. He can hit the Thunderbolt with his particle projection cannon, and that will knock it over, as well as doing damage. Am I close enough to hit anything with the medium lasers? I am. Yep. Okay, that's what we're going to do.
Engaging multiple targets.
Particle projection cannon hits. Doesn't penetrate the armour, but it's a ballistic impact. It's enough to knock the Thunderbolt over. And everything else is enough to destroy the striker.
Enemy unit destroyed.
Good job, Jingles. Not quite as shit as we've been led to believe. Enemy turn. Second striker working its way around the flank. If it hits Cyber, it's not going for Cyber. It's going for Jingles, who has no stability damage, although he's going to gain some from that. If it had hit Cyber with that missile barrage, it would have probably knocked her over.
Internal damage.
So the fact that Jingles had been so beat up
I hear ya.
actually worked in our favour there. It sensed that he was the weakest link and it went for him first.
Coordinates received.
Glitch here also has a pretty nasty stability stack of damage there as well. But I'm sensing blood in the water here. The Thunderbolt's on his back. I'm going to go for a cold shot, centre torso, and just try to take him out with an alpha strike. There's a LRM ammo explosion, centre torso destroyed, pilot incapacitated. The Thunderbolt is out of the fight. That just leaves the two remaining ground vehicles, a striker and a demolisher. It's not a battle mech, but a demolisher is a pretty nasty ground vehicle. It's got a pair of very heavy autocannons. A proper battle mech is a bigger threat, so you tend to focus on the battle mechs rather than finish off the ground vehicles. But if you ignore those ground vehicles for too long, the combination of stripping the armour and exposing your internal structure with their autocannons, and the stability damage that they do with their missile launchers really adds up over time. And as you can see, the Demolisher can take a kicking as well. Well, fortunate choice of words. It can take a beating, it can't take a kicking. It's got a lot of armour, it's got a lot of health. But
Armor breach.
ground vehicles take increased damage from melee attacks from battle mechs. You just walk up to them and stamp on them, and it usually takes them out in one hit.
Location confirmed.
Of course, you have to get close enough to them, and that's difficult to do in a Highlander because it's not a particularly quick mech. I'm going to spend a bit of morale and use the Vigilance skill to dump all of Cyber's stability damage. So she's now once again steadied and completely stable. Now I've got to make a choice here. The Demolisher can take a lot of damage. The Striker's got a fair amount of armour and health left as well. I can hit them both from here quite easily. But should I? The Highlander's got a very heavy weapon load, but it might take everything I've got
Fire an owl
to
away.
finish this Demolisher off right now. So I'm going to Alpha Strike him, and it was only just enough. The Demolisher is
Crawler
down.
destroyed.
That just leaves the Striker. And is it still? It is still my turn. Oh shit, it's Jingles. Okay. From where I was standing, I could only hit the Striker with the long-range missiles and the particle projection cannon, but if I move forward to here, I can hit him with everything other than the machine guns. So that's basically exactly what we're going to do.
Engaging.
And hopefully take him out in one shot. Yep, done it.
Commander, you've got hostile contacts inbound.
Hostile? No, I don't have any hostile. What? Are you drunk? That's it. Mission complete.
Mission successful.
This guy doesn't know his arse from his elbow. And that's it. Mission successful. Show him what he won, Bob. Well, my immediate payout on successful contract completion is nearly 446,000 C-bills. Also gain a bit of reputation. Battle damage assessments. 1 injury. Some damage to the Battlemaster and the Highlander, but nothing that we can't polish out with a bit of elbow grease. Now comes the important part, picking over the salvage. We left a lot of blown up mechs on the battlefield, and I want the best bits. I can't actually remember how many salvage picks I negotiated. I think it was just the 2. Let's take a look. Yep, I can pick 2 bits. Yep, I've got the first 2 picks. Now, that's the first time I've ever seen a catapult on the battlefield, and I really badly want one. So I'm going to salvage the catapult. In order to construct a complete battle mech from the salvage that you find on the battlefield, you need to salvage them 3 times. So this is just the first piece of catapult salvage I've come across. But I already have 2 pieces of quick draw salvage. So if I select the quick draw salvage as my second pick, I'll be able to construct a fully operational quick draw from the salvage that I've earned from previous missions in combination with this piece of quick draw salvage from this mission. Once I confirm my 2 choices, I get a random selection of the other salvage from the battle, all of which is worth several times more than the immediate credit payout for completing the contract. That should make our mech tech in the engineering bay very, very happy indeed. Can you do something with this salvage?
That mech is ready to fight, Commander.
Well, that's nice. 1 fully operational quick draw added to my mech bay. And that pretty much is Battletech. This is the game that's been eating my life away over the course of the last week, when I really should have been doing something more productive instead. But it wasn't a complete waste of my time. I did manage to get some material for a 40-minute long casual Saturday video. So, you know, there's that. And I hope you've enjoyed it, because I've certainly been enjoying it. I can't recommend this game enough. If you're a fan of games like Laser Squad or the XCOM series, you're going to be right at home with Battletech. It's an amazing game. It's available on Steam for some money. I can't remember how much. But it's definitely worth every penny. In my humble opinion, at least. Humble opinion? Who are you and what have you done with the real Jingles? Yes, okay, good question. Anyway, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a great weekend. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.